Hello and welcome to what is not only the first video on this channel, but also my first attempt ever at doing a car review. So there's a lot of great cars out there to review, but naturally I figured it'd probably be best to start with my own car. So that being said, welcome to the Mercedes-Benz C63 AMG W204. So, quick rundown of this car. It has a 6.2 liter V8, naturally aspirated, that puts out just under 500 horsepower, straight to the rear wheels through a 7-speed automatic gearbox. So I actually bought this used. This is a W204 model. And the reason I ended up with this is I actually went to go test drive a W205. But I saw this, test drove it once, and ended up buying it on the spot. Now, it is not the best car. I'll be honest with you. The suspension feels like it's made of rocks and stone. It kind of looks like a tractor. It's really not the fastest car because it just kind of spins its wheels. And in the corners, it's okay at best. Oh, 3,000 RPMs, by the way. Continuing with the faults, they put these nice, comfy sports seats that are nice and plush, but they might as well have put fucking church pews. It feels so pointless when you have this rock hard suspension with these low profile tires. And the issues definitely don't end there. When you put your foot down, either the transmission does nothing and then sends you off rocketing 100 miles an hour, or it just jerks, and then you're at the speed you want it to be. It's never just a smooth transition off the line. You're either going the speed of sound, your back tires are still sitting where you took off, and your car's on fire, or you're just sitting there getting whiplash over and over for about 30 seconds till you figured it out. Right, the whole reason we like big naturally aspirated engines as car enthusiasts is that there's no turbo lag. But when you have a slow transmission, it might as well have turbo lag. But it's like the negative aspects of having a turbocharged car, but without the nice smoothness and the low down grunt. But when you're on a twisty road and you can put your foot down a little bit, you just forget about all of it. And it just becomes this primitive feeling again of joy. And you just feel like a kid in a go-kart. Just a really heavy, deadly go-kart is what this car is. And that's awesome. I didn't buy this car because it's super fast around a track or could beat any other supercar in a straight line. That's not what it's meant to be, and that's not who it is. This car, I feel like, is a lot like me and every other grown man with the mentality of a 7-year-old child. This car just wants to tear its wheels off, make a lot of noise, and it makes you happy. And that's the most important thing about a car. Because you can have cars that have 700 horsepower and that can do 0 to 60 in 2.3 seconds. But it's hard to find a car that has as much personality, as much human qualities to it as an AMG Mercedes does. As a driving machine and as something that you could drive to work and feel happier after your drive than before. There's really nothing better than an AMG. I think the best proof of that is that no other car out there sounds quite as good. God, what a sound. I absolutely it sounds like an angry dog and it wants to tear its tires off. And that's so amazing. It's not, but it is. A lot of what this car reminds me of is a businessman with ducky socks on. Now, let me explain. So to the normal non-car enthusiast, they'll see this car and they'll just see, okay, it's just a Mercedes, whatever. Not bad, C-Class, decent car. Can't really complain about it. Nothing great, nothing bad. But to the car enthusiast and to others, they know that it's got personality to it. It's not just the way it looks. It's not just how well it's dressed. It has this goofy, stupid quality to it that really you have to be a car enthusiast to know about. I think that two-sided factor of the C63 is what makes me enjoy it so much, not only as something to get to point A to point B with, but also something that's just enjoyable. So the reason I actually went with the Mercedes instead of a nicer looking, more relaxing Audi or a great cruiser like a Cadillac or potentially supercar killing BMW actually goes back to a car before this one. Welcome to the Mercedes-Benz C450 AMG Sport. It's a lot. Oh wait, I forgot 4MATIC. 4MATIC Sport. This car is not the fastest car. It is not the prettiest car, again, which seems to be a theme with Mercedes. And it is not the best handling or even the most comfortable car. Even the new version, the C43, which is the brand new version of this car that Mercedes has come out with, is really not that special. It's a 3-liter twin-turbo V6 that puts out under 400 horsepower. I think 0 to 60 happens in about 4.5, 4.6 seconds, which is a respectable number. It's not a slow car. It's not a fast car. It's respectable, you know? It's nothing crazy. But this car represents a lot more than just that to me, because this car is my dad's car. This car is what I got to drive when I was 18. I had a Hyundai before this. It was a good car. I had the Hyundai Veloster. I had no issues with it, but it wasn't, there was nothing to it, right? It's just a compact, regular little boring car. So this was the first car I got to drive that like had any power. And I remember the first time I put my foot down in this car when we test drove one, I was mind blown. I thought this was the fastest thing in the world. It doesn't get any quicker than this car. Obviously it does, but this car really represented the start for me. It represented the start of my passion for cars. And just listen. It pops on the upshifts. It has no reason to do that. In an engineering standpoint, there is feasibly no point. But they did it anyway, because it's fun. And that's what really got me so in love with the Mercedes brand, is that let's throw a little bit of childishness into what is otherwise just a grown man's daily driver to get to work and back. Let's add a little bit of fun to it, a little bit of flair, which is so un-German of them, but they do it anyway. It's so dumb. Oh God. It's the saddest little, it's so dumb, but when you go from driving a Hyundai with literally 100 and something horsepower to this, it feels like such a big step up. And then you hear that exhaust, and I've just never felt something do that in a car. It just made me so happy the first time I did it. And still to this day, even after driving a big naturally aspirated V8, that little after you upshift, still to this day, just makes me so fucking happy. I guess to summarize and to wrap this up, I really do love this car. There's very few cars out there I would trade this for that you can live with every day if you want to, and that you can have such a good time with at such a reasonable price point. Now you can get a pretty good spec for 40,000 Canadian with low kilometers on it, and around that price range for this type of quality of material, this type of fun, this type of emotion, there's not much out there, man. In a world where everybody wants to be as efficient, as compact, as smart, intelligent, and as well thought out as realistically possible. I love that this car represents a time before that. A time where let's just put a big fucking V8 in it and who cares what happens. And not every car needs that. Don't get me wrong, there's a huge market and it is better the way we're going of these turbocharged, these hybrid cars. They are genuinely better vehicles. But as something that just makes you happy, this step back in technology, this almost dumbed down car is phenomenal in its own right. I know a lot of people, when they think of this car, they think of how stupid it is. And they're not wrong. And they think, what's the point of that car? A Mustang, a Camaro, a Corvette, any of those cars that are half the price could smoke it on a track. And maybe even some of them could beat it in a straight line. But that's missing the point. Jeremy Clarkson actually made a really good comparison once using dogs. You can have the best dogs. You can have super fast, intelligent, smart guard dogs. But people will still buy pugs. They'll buy those stupid little chubby sausage dogs. This is a chubby little sausage car. Not every car needs to be, you know, a 6-minute lap on the fucking Nürburgring. It's just excessive and it's pointless. I'm never gonna need that extra stiffness in the suspension, or I'm not gonna need the weight loss of replacing the back seats with a roll cage on the road, right? That the extra 0.3 seconds it would save on the track would make this now an inconvenient road car. And they didn't forget about that with these regular AMGs. They are good road cars. The suspension is too stiff, like I said, and they're kind of just big tractors with V8 motors in them. But that's fun. It's fun spinning out. Maybe not. Maybe that wasn't a good point. If somebody came to me tomorrow and asked me to sell this car to them for a brand new W205 C63, fresh off the production line, I would say no. And I think that speaks for itself with this car. I would take this car over every single super saloon that's on the market right now. And I think that really speaks for it a lot. When we live in a world where you can buy a new Alfa Romeo Quadrifoglio, or a new Audi RS5, or an M5, or an M3, I think the fact that I would take this car speaks for itself. Nothing has ever brought back that emotional response like this car has. And that's why I love it.